I'm here in the heart of Syria at one of the most critical times in the country's modern history. I arrived from Beirut earlier today. The drive was fairly uneventful. Border control is very strict. They are very careful about who they let in and out of the country, but they do let journalists into the country. I was able to get a visa, and the reports from other Western journalists, I don't know what they're saying when they say that they can't get into the country. Obviously, you can. Their visas may be denied, but they're probably denied for other reasons. I think there's more to that story. So I'm here in Old Town, and I came to the city expecting to find everybody on edge or, fearful for an attack. But it turns out that everyone is extremely friendly, extremely easygoing, going out of their way, bending over backwards to make my stay easier, more comfortable, saying welcome to Syria every time they see me, asking if I'm American, being very friendly and open towards me. And it's really not the reception that I expected at all from watching Western media, basically, the mainstream media. Every story that you see and hear talks about how people are terrified of living under Assad and that he's, a brutal murderer and he's butchering his own people. Well, that just isn't the case. I'm here and I'm talking to locals, I'm talking to people who actually live in Syria, in Damascus no less, the seat of Assad's power. And if these people were living here under this animal Assad, as President Trump calls him, they wouldn't be here. I'm in the streets and people are literally singing and dancing. Everyone seems to be having a great time. There doesn't seem to be much fear for an attack at all, and certainly not of President Assad. I'm going to keep investigating, looking into some of the areas in the coming week that have allegedly been under attack. We're going to look deeper into the story and find out what's really going on. For One American News, I'm Pearson Sharp, reporting from Damascus.
All right, that was a story that Pearson did previously, but let's go live to Pearson Sharp right now, standing by in Damascus. Pearson, the bombing happened about 4 hours ago. I assume you were sleeping at the time.
Yeah, I actually was. I just finished posting that report that you just played. About 3 a.m. I got to bed, and about an hour later, I woke up hearing something. It sounded kind of like someone throwing a suitcase in the other room, but it kept going. And I opened the door, and you hear that kind of harumph kind of sound, and then you kind of know what's up. And that was a couple of hours ago. I was up here on the rooftop when that happened, and you could see the missiles flying back and forth. Some were coming from the east in that direction, and some were coming from the south, and a couple from over there in the west. The Syrian air defenses were shooting down, as we know now, a lot of the missiles. Reports say that maybe only 7 of UK, US, and France's missiles got through, if that many. And so I'm not sure which one was which, but I'm up here now, and yesterday when I got to Damascus, it was pretty clear. You could see out to the horizon. There are mountains in the distance. And this morning, it's completely hazy. There's smoke everywhere, and it smells really strongly of sulfur, like 4th of July fireworks kind of smell. And it's pretty astonishing how quickly things can turn around.
Pearson, for those of us who've never had the chance and never will have the chance to visit Syria, when the bombs and missiles started going off, were there sirens going off in the city? You obviously went out there to the balcony or the roof. What was the temperature like? What was the environment like there in Damascus when things started erupting?
Surprisingly, it was really quiet. I've seen some videos posted by other journalists online that showed the sirens going off, driving through the middle of the city. I'm a little on the outskirts at this point. I don't want to give away my exact location, but there were no sirens from where I was, and most of the streets were pretty empty. It was 4 in the morning when this was happening, so it was pretty quiet at that point. Didn't hear a whole lot of what was going on. Trump came on and he said that this was in America's national security interests for us to attack these facilities. And it's pretty incredible that he could make a statement like that. I don't see how American interests are being protected by attacking facilities that, so far from everyone I've talked to, people, officials, there's no evidence of any chemical attack. We're still investigating. I don't know why Trump and the administration thought that they needed to attack before the investigation even got underway. Only a couple more hours and they might have had some answers. But it's a pretty astonishing situation.
Obviously, you've been on the ground there for a day, a little under a day. You've met people there. You've been in the hotel. You've talked to employees of the hotel. Obviously, nobody wants to go on camera because, discretion is the top priority of a lot of people that are living there. But what do they say to you? How do they feel about the situation going on? Are they with the allies? Are they with the U.S.? Are they with the Assad regime? What do they feel about this present situation going on in Syria?
There's a few mixed reactions. After I finished filming that last report that you played before this, I was out on the street, and a couple of Syrians stopped and watched me. And when I finished, they came over and asked me questions, wanted to know, who I was, what I was doing, and I explained that we were there to kind of show the side of the story that's not getting reported in a lot of media outlets. And you could see a change in their faces immediately. They just had this look of gratitude that someone was sharing their side of the story. They said, they love Americans and they love America, and they want to get along. They want Americans and Syrians to work together to overcome these issues. And they don't understand why we're doing this to them. When I left, I said goodnight to them, and they said, God bless America. And, it's a pretty strong sentiment for a country that keeps bombing them. I talked to a hotel worker here this morning after I found out that we'd been attacking them. And, I asked him if his family was okay, and he said yes. And I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that we're attacking you. And his eyes welled up with tears. And, he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, thank you. He said, I appreciate it. Thank you. There was another guy here at the hotel. I asked him about it, and he laughed. He shrugged his shoulders and he said, oh, you get used to it. He said, it's been 7 years that we've been living like this, and, you just get used to it. And that was his attitude. So it's a whole range of emotions, but really, I think they've accepted that we're attacking them at this point, and they just hope, I think, at some point we will come to our senses and realize that, we need to fully investigate these situations before we run in with guns blazing.
Pearson, we see so many pictures here in the U.S. of the infrastructure and the housing there, just absolutely in shambles. I see behind you everything looks intact. Have you done a lay of the land there? What does the infrastructure look like around there? Is it in shambles, or is it pretty much well maintained and it's only in particular areas that it's really bad?
I think they take care of it pretty well. For the limited resources they have, a lot of buildings are very old, and so it's kind of hard to tell which buildings are just decaying on their own and which have been attacked. The area where I was filming yesterday, the guys I met with told me that I was practically standing on the spot where a mortar had fallen, and looking around, I couldn't see any damage. So I think they're quick to repair things, but it is an old city. Damascus is the oldest inhabited city in the world, and so it's going to show some signs of decay. But Syrians are really proud of their country and of their president. Everybody I've talked to loves President Assad. They think he's doing a wonderful job. And these aren't people like the media says. They aren't at gunpoint. They aren't being coerced to share this opinion. They really are proud of their country and their leader, and they want the world to know that they're trying to do the right thing, and that we should too.
We here in America would think Syrians right now that they would stay inside. They would almost be hiding on a daily basis. But we saw in your piece that wasn't the case. It looks like people are on the normal out there, and they're going about their lives. What is their census? Are they going about their lives? Are they enjoying, or are they just out there enjoying with the apprehension of, okay, we just need to be aware if something happens? What did you gauge from the people there?
So, like I said from that hotel clerk, it's been 7 years, and so you can either live in your home hiding the whole time, or you can go about your life and, just hope and pray that everything turns out okay. But there's another attitude that's running along with this, that these people are, they're tired of living under the gun, from President Trump to Obama to, all these administrations who have targeted the Middle East. They're tired of the constant fear of threat and attack. And the last few weeks, there's been a lot of rhetoric out of Washington that we're gonna make them pay, and so a lot of Syrians, I think, are they're fed up, and they're ready to show what they can do. When I was talking to people yesterday, they were saying, we're tired of living under this threat, and we almost hope that the U.S. does attack so that we can respond and show you what we're capable of. So I'm not sure what the response is going to be, but the Syrians are very resilient, they're very proud, and I think they're ready for anything.
It's 8 o'clock Saturday morning in Syria, Damascus, where you are standing. several hours after America and its allies responded to that alleged attack. Are there people on the streets right now? Is everybody sleeping? What does it look like behind you?
So right now it's pretty quiet. There's some people out there sweeping the streets. I think it's pretty much life as normal for the time being. Right now, as an American, it's not quite safe to wander the streets, so we're hanging out in the hotel and getting a feel for when it would be safe to go back out. We're waiting for some official word, and that's pretty much all I can say about that for the time being. But yeah, I mean, I think this has happened before for Syrians. They're used to this, and I think they're not going to stop going just because of a missile strike. As hard as that is for us to understand as Americans, where we have a safe, warm bed to sleep every night, and no one ever bombs our homes. They're used to this.
Okay, and before I let you go, just one final question. I know you don't want to disclose the location of where you are staying, but when those bombs, the missiles attacked, bombed the areas, 3 specific areas, 2 in Homs and 1 in Damascus, what reference point to where you are staying? How far would you say from your hotel were those attacks? If you could maybe do it as maybe in mileage.
So that's a good question. The attacks obviously happened in 3 waves, and so they hit different places. But from the hotel workers that I've talked to, apparently one of the attacks was less than a mile away. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but that's the information I'm being given right now. So, I mean, less than a mile away. It was pretty loud when I was standing up here. At night it's hard to tell how far away a blip of light is, but the explosions were loud, and if it's under a mile, then that's close enough for me.